Bloop, 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 bloop. Bloop. Do you have a copy of Pokemon that looks like garbage? Let's make it look better. Alright, so I got myself a copy of Pokemon Yellow. I don't know what the hell that stuff up at the top is there, but I'm going to put it in one of these clear Game Boy cases, and then I'm going to add one of these lights to it. Let's get started. I have here a 1210 LED that I grabbed off AliExpress. I will leave a link in the description below. We're also going to need a resistor. I'm going to use 1000 ohms here, but if you play around with a potentiometer, you might be able to find a different amount that you like. We can now put our excess away. That little notch on the corner signifies which way is negative. We want to put the resistor on the positive end. Here is our resistor. Resistors do not have polarity. They can go any way. They're electrically bisexual. What am I doing with my life? Okay, now we gotta just pre-tin these a little bit. And this is very small because I'm using surface mounted. If you want to use through hole, that is fine. You might just have a little bit less space to work with when we actually get to the case part. I have pre-tinned the positive side of the LED because the power flows from positive to negative. If I have that wrong, somebody in the comments will hopefully correct me. I'm currently using 2 Game Boy games to prop up these jeweler's tweezers and to hold the diodes together for soldering. Okay, we're now just going to touch them. We're going to pre-tin here. Just a nice healthy little blob of solder. So we're going to just over solder this a little bit. Okay, that's on there. It's dry and release. Oh, it feels so good when it actually works. Boy howdy, did that actually work. Oh, yes. Now that we're here, we're just pre-tinning the other ends. Nice, healthy pre-tinning on both. Hey there, Mr. Tin Man. Now let's grab our game bit, open up our Pokemon Yellow. I just had this little bit of plastic fall out of the case. It's a good thing we're not going to be using this anymore. But we are going to keep it around. That way we can continue to play this game without destroying the cartridge further. While we're in here, let's change the battery. This is a terrible tip to use for this, and I'm going to come back to this later. Now the place that I want to place this is right here. I want the light shining up that way so that it hits that center post there and dissipates a little bit. Let's identify where we can grab power from. If we look at the board, it is human readable. We have VCC for voltage and GND for ground. And we're going to take from each of these, and that will give us 3.3 volts to work with. So if we follow this up, we can see that a good place to go from would be one of these 2 holes. And if we want to route to there, the easiest method of doing that would be to go down through here, underneath the legs of this chip. And if we want this one, our best place would be to go from here or here. That way we can go down underneath the legs of this chip and meet up. That'll make it look clean, hide a lot of the wire, and I like feeding wire through chip legs. It's fun.
I like to have fun.
Alright, I've got some 30 gauge wire here. I'm going to grab roughly the amount that I need, but a bit more than that. Snippy snippy, and we will do that twice now. I am going to take the end of this off with my handy dandy nail clippers. First try. If you don't get it in the first try and you cut it down, we cut more wire off for that exact reason. Now, I'm going to place this through here, and I'm just going to give it a little push. It's going to resist me at first, but it will eventually... Oh yeah, there we go. Grab that little pair of tweezers. And I want as little of this to be visible as possible, so I'm going to go for that lower hole there. Let's lift our wire up a little bit. I'm going to pull a little bit more out. Okay, we're just going to give that wire there a little bend. That's going to make it go through the hole a little bit easier. Now I can pull the wire back down through here till it's lined up roughly with the hole, and then a little bit of tact, I'm going to just push it through that hole. You can see we have just a tiny little bit sticking out still, and on the other side, just sticking up there. We will solder that in place now. It may take a couple tries, as it generally does not like to stick. Of course, if you want to use flux, please be my guest. I feel pretty comfortable not using flux right now. This solder does, of course, have flux in it. Okay, I'm going to pre-tin my tip here a little bit. Then introduce a bit of solder onto there. I'm going to try for a bigger blob here. But it's not working. Okay, let's flux.
What took you so long?
And introduce a bit of solder onto there. Okay, then we'll clean that off with a little bit of ISO. Ooh, filled that right to the brim. Oops. Okay, and that's soldered in there now. So this is what it looks like at this point. And we're going to bring this wire over here. That's going to be its final resting place once we trim it down to here. But we're going to put the other wire in first. Shove it through the pins. And you might get caught on that capacitor there, so use a pair of tweezers if you can to pull from that point onwards. There we go. Now we pull out more than we need. We want to have just a nice little tail there. And now we're going to put a little right end on this. Just like that. Little hook. Pull it back down a little bit. And we need to shove it through the hole that we want. The hole that we want is right underneath that 4. Okay. You can see we've got a little bit of room to work there. Add a little bit of flux. The flux! And because this is the ground, I'm not afraid of using too much solder because we've got a lot of room where this is valid. Oh, hey. Check that out. That's a big blob of solder. I'm not super happy with that, but it's still going to function. Now we can just help feed this through nice and clean. Look how clean that looks already. You can barely even see those wires there. And where those intersect, that's where we're going to put our LED. So let's start getting that on there now. We're going to do one wire at a time. Nail clippers to strip the end. And this time you've got to be careful not to take off too much because we don't have a ton left to work with anymore. Create another little L shape because I am working with SMD pieces, surface mounted diodes. And those are much harder to work with. Remember, the resistor went on the positive side? So I am going to take my soldering iron, put a little bit of solder on my soldering iron, and just rub that solder right onto the wire. Now I am going to use my jeweler's tweezers here again, because they are a very good tool for this particular job. I want that resistor facing upwards just a little bit. I don't want it to be directly on the board. Now this is where a steady hand is going to come in handy. Unfortunately, I do not have a steady hand, now or ever. Oh, I think we got it. I think we got it.
Nope.
We didn't got it. I'm going to use a second pair of jeweler's tweezers here. I'm going to use 2 pairs of jeweler's tweezers to just kind of hold these together so that I can work a little bit less interruption. Now we can get that last part on there. Okay. I keep taking off the end. This is not going well. I did it! I got it! It only took me 3 tries. Don't be afraid to fail a little bit here. You should prepare to fail a little bit. I've got that set up. Carefully grab my soldering iron. Now, it doesn't look perfect, but it's good enough. You can at least test it out now. I'm gonna grab my game case. Toss that in there. I'm using very bendable wires. Okay. This big blob of solder I went a little bit overboard with, so I'm going to cut just a little bit off of that. You'll notice that I still have left, a decent amount there. And if it scratches up one of these cases, it doesn't matter. If you go to put this back in the original though, do desolder that. If you're soldering, you should know how to desolder. It feels a lot better already. There we go. It's in. Oh hey, check that out. We got ourselves a lit cartridge. Let's turn our lights off. See how well we can see that. It doesn't look super bright, but we don't really want it to, because that's going to drain our battery a little bit faster. Place the screw in. Now for the final step, our sticker. And boom, we got ourselves a nice little copy of Pokemon Yellow.
Tanner does mods, Tanner does mods. This is the ending theme of Tanner does mods. Please leave a comment and subscribe and share with your friends and come back again next time.